Welcome to week 6 of Ballet Marvel. This week, Wanda Maximoff, also known as the Scarlet Witch. So, special thanks this week, and of course I leave my spiral pen up. Special thanks this week goes to Elizabeth Olsen for tackling this role and doing a phenomenal job bringing the character of Wanda Maximoff to life. This is a very complicated character, and I was really appreciative of the nuance Elizabeth Olsen brought to the role and how she tackled grief and kind of just did a phenomenal job portraying it. Yeah, she's a really great actress, and I think she is perfect for this role, and I really can't wait to see her in the Doctor Strange sequel and in subsequent appearances, because I don't think Wanda's going anywhere anytime soon, and I'm so happy for that. Wanda Maximoff Week, or the Scarlet Witch Week, is dedicated to my friends Jason Gutierrez and Jonathan Allen. I did like Wanda, but she was always kind of like, I didn't really appreciate her until Jason said, you really need to read these comics, because I feel like originally Wanda was kind of just, I misread her as just being kind of the sad girl or the tragic girl, and Jason's like, no, she's a badass, just read these comics. And now there's a whole collection of Wanda comics on my shelf, and yeah, she's a pretty fucking badass character. So yes, Jason Gutierrez, Jonathan Allen, their Instagram handles will be in the description. Give them a like and a follow, show them some love. You know the drill. Okay, so let's get on with it. Wanda Maximoff. I can already tell this costume is going to be a bit of a hassle to take pictures of, because you can't really see it, but there are electronics on the ground. And I have already almost slipped twice. But you know what? Look at it. Look at it. It's great, isn't it? Oh my god. And I just stepped on it. Okay. Yeah, there's... Carolina really... I love her designs, people. Her designs are just something else. There is Glitter Tulle, because obviously it's ballet. So yeah, Glitter Tulle. I like the layered look of it that she gave it. I basically said I want something based on her on the finale of WandaVision, when she fully embraces her identity of the Scarlet Witch. And Carolina's like, yep, I got just the thing. And she showed me a sketch of this, and I was like, yep, that's what I want. Do that. And yep, this is what came of it. Oh my gosh, this is a cool costume. And obviously Carol Doturo Riot did the headpiece. It's based on, I really loved Wanda's end headpiece. I think that's a really cool design. Unfortunately, that is a hard thing to do, to translate into ballet. So, I mean, I think Carol did it beautifully, though. She was inspired by the classic Wanda Maximoff look, and she kind of like blended in elements of that last headpiece. So you got this really cool kind of crown that's sitting on my head, and I really love it. It sparkles like it's made of rubies, and oh my god. Oh, Carol, thank you. This is great. Red Swarovski crystals, so it sparkles, and it's beautiful. It's perfect for the Scarlet Witch, and it just, the first time I put the headpiece on with the costume, I was just like, yep, that's my Wanda. That's her. So yeah, this is this is ballet Scarlet Witch. That's a really interesting concept, people. So, why I chose Wanda Maximoff. I am embarrassed to admit that, as I mentioned in the special thanks part of the video, I only recently warmed up to Wanda. And she never really stood out among the other characters. There was something for me to latch on to, and I'll get into it in a moment, but I feel like It was something I didn't want to kind of identify with, and I'll explain why in a moment. So shout out to Jason for giving me recommendations for comics that really show just how complex and how powerful and how kind of just how amazing a character Wanda is, because otherwise I never would have really given her a second look, and I would have it would have been my loss. So I'm a little frustrated with how overly simplified her grief tended to be. You have a character who escaped a war-torn country, who lost her brother, and then lost the love of her life. And after losing her brother, it was just kind of like, oh, Wanda's sad. It's like, no shit, she's sad. She lost the only family she had. I think her grief was beautifully handled in WandaVision. Like, I know it's really cliche at this point, but the line, what is grief if not love persevering, that really hit me hard. And that's kind of when I started to understand why I didn't originally warm up to Wanda. And it's because I recognize that grief. And not only do I recognize that grief, I recognize the reaction to it. And it makes me very... So when I lost my friend, when he passed away, I feel people wanted me to be over it in a month, 2 months. And throughout my life, whenever I've experienced a loss, I could never really talk about it because people want grief to be over. They don't understand that grief isn't something that ends. It's something you learn to live with, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's bad if it interferes with your life. I fully admit that. But I don't feel comfortable with the idea that we just one day wake up and are fine with somebody who is important to us being gone. I don't like that. I don't mind grief hurting occasionally, because it does. And while it may be unpleasant, for me personally, it reminds me of how lucky I was to have the person I lost in my life. So I don't mind that pain. It doesn't interfere with my life. But you still have people who are like, well, you'll get over it in this much and this much. Or, God forbid, if you lose a pet, and I'm sorry to bring this up, I know this is kind of like not great to compare losses like that, but when you lose a pet, fucking hell, people need to stop saying that you can replace them. Fuck you. You cannot replace a pet who passes away. You can get another pet and have, another pet in your life. Yes, obviously. But you don't replace the one that passed away. People have a very strange understanding of grief, and I don't like the idea that there's something wrong with you if you don't stop grieving within a certain period of time. And I feel like that was projected onto Wanda, where it's like, oh, she's so simple. She's such a simplified, misogynistic character because she's the sad girl. No, she's fucking grieving. Let her fucking grieve. Okay? And yeah, sometimes her grief is destructive and sometimes it's fucked up. But that's grief, people. And you may not always agree with her actions. Obviously, you shouldn't. But at the same time, it's like, that's how she grieves. I feel like we're scared of grief. In general, I think people are really scared of grief. And I think people are scared of... I think, in general, society tends to fear people who can live with grief. Because grief is a scary thing. We don't want to lose the people we love. We don't want to lose people who are important to us. But it happens. And grief is natural. It's a natural reaction. If you don't grieve, you don't experience, you're some kind of sociopath. I mean, and again, I'm sorry, I know that's not PC to say, but there are people who don't experience emotions, and that's something that happens. But for me personally, I would not like, I couldn't live without grief, without being able to experience grief. I think grief is a way that we heal, honestly. Grief is a way, and I think that Wanda, even though her grief was destructive, I think she recognized that at the end of WandaVision. And I think that made her a stronger character. I think she recognized that her grief made her stronger. And that's a pretty powerful message. Also, equating grief with love, that's also very powerful, and it's very true. Grief is another form of love. It's something that happens. So yeah, grief, it gets easier to live with, but it doesn't go away. That's just part of life. That's part of being a human being. Yeah, Wanda is a really strong character, and she's an amazing woman. And I do admit that I'm a little leery with how I'm seeing a lot of fans kind of frothing at the mouth to see her go bad. That bothers me to a certain extent. I know there's precedent for it in the comics, but at the same time, I'm just like, can we not simplify this character? Can we let her be complex and complicated and messy? Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of Wanda in the MCU. She's something else. She's a fun character. I like that in WandaVision that she confronts her pain and realizes that she needs to learn to live with it. And yeah, she goes away and kind of isolates herself, but yeah, I like that idea that I can learn to live with pain. Yeah, that sounded a little weird, but I hope people understand what I'm saying. I mean, well, I don't always understand what I'm saying, but whatever. Sorry. It's been a long day. Okay, so this week, I will be talking about Ed Watson. Wow. I've been looking forward to this, because Ed Watson is fucking amazing. Oh, he's such a great dancer. And the ballet I will be talking about is my favorite ballet, my absolute favorite ballet of all time. Number 1. The Winter's Tale. So, stick around for that. Bye!